Steve DiMaggio here from McFadden Sales, and today I'm super excited to announce something that I will personally be using, and that is the Shure SLXD Portable Wireless System. This guy right here. Now I should make mention that this video is not going to be tech specs, it's not going to be menu driven. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to show how myself, who owns a wedding film company shooting 100+ weddings a year, would use this system. It also should be noted that I am actually using the system as it comes from Shure with a WL185 lavalier system into an SLXD1, going over to the SLXD5 that's hooked up to my brand new Sony camera that I've literally never used. And I've never used this system, so this is the worst case scenario for audio. So just want to put that out there before we dig too far into this. So first things first, as a wedding videographer who has shot over 300 weddings, by far the #1 thing that plagues all videographers in the wedding film business is audio. The pool of talent that we pull from just normally does not have that audio background. So I want to go over this Shure system, how it's going to fit into my business and how it may work for you shooting weddings too. So first things first, let's talk about the SLXD5 receiver and what it's made of. So this receiver is an all metal housing, and the reason why that's important is a lot of the times the lead in a wedding film business will not be doing the audio. We'll have our assistants or our second shooters go ahead to a location and set the audio up. They are not going to treat the gear as well as we are going to treat the gear. The people who buy the gear is always going to treat it a little bit better than kind of the hired help. So it's really important that this system was made out of metal. Now, the first thing we have to do after we actually take the wireless out and see that it's still in one piece is we need to scan and make sure that the frequencies are clear because we want that clean audio. So for an example, if we're showing up to a first look, the groom's waiting, his back is turned, my second shooter will get there, they'll be rushing, they need to scan and sync this thing fast. My old units would take about 2 to 3 minutes to actually scan. What I found with this unit was as soon as I took it out, I scanned, I actually thought that the scan failed. And the reason why I thought that it failed was it scanned so quickly that it was almost instantaneous. That is immeasurable the day of a wedding. Now, when it comes to the scanning and the syncing, I also want to talk about the sync button on the side of the receiver and the incredibly obvious IR little thingies that need to be, put by each other to sync. Other systems are hidden under battery compartments. When you pull the SLXD5 out, with the belt pack, it's so obvious how you have to do this. This is just one more barrier that we don't have to overcome when training. Along with that, on the top of the receiver, I love the fact that everything is clearly labeled. With my old systems, I would actually put tape over ports we didn't want them to use, and we would actually label wires 111, 222, so we knew where every wire went to every piece of gear. With this, it's incredibly obvious that the little camera is going to go to the camera and the headphone output is going to go to your headphones. Again, it's just one of those things, one less barrier to break down when training. One really important thing about this system is the size of the SLXD1. Now, it's incredibly thin and it's also light. What's great about this is a lot of the times we'll be putting this into the groom's front pocket in his jacket, and the #1 thing to make photographers mad is to have phones and other things popping out of the groom's pocket. The SLXD1 is so thin and it has these nice curves to it that it kind of just blends in. It's one of those things that most people won't talk about, but I've seen it all. That's one thing that really appeals to me as a non-intrusive wedding filmmaker. The other side of the SLXD1 being so small is a lot of the times we have women officiants. They're normally wearing dresses and don't have pockets. We still need to mic them up. So the way we normally do that is, we'll put the lavalier mic up on the dress somewhere around here, but then we'll end up having to, hook this to an undergarment, either to the back of a bra or to the back of a dress. That could be super expensive. The SLXD1 is so light and so form-fitting, like I was saying before, that it really blends in, and again, it's one of those things that are non-intrusive. We're trying to get referrals from the officiant, the venue, the photographer, the parents. We're here to blend in and be non-intrusive, and the SLXD1 is great for that. Now back to the SLXD5. A lot of the times I'll have this mounted on a camera that doesn't have somebody manning it. With that said, my old secondary system had these antennas that would just flop and the wind would blow them around, and when you're not manning a camera, it's very easy for those antennas to kind of fall in front of the lens and ruin your shot. With the way that the SLXD5 is, we can point those antennas directly up and we don't have to worry about that. So not only does it help us be, again, non-intrusive with the shape of the transmitter, but the receiver also has a nice clear line of sight with the antennas up and it won't get in the way of our shot, which is just as important as the actual audio quality itself. Now, bonus points if you're running this into just one side of your camera in mono, what I like to do is I like to run my crisp, good audio from the SLXD5 into the left side of my camera, and then the right side, I will actually leave that internal camera audio. Almost like a scratch track, but it's also great to have backup. I'll also explain later on the dance floor why we would want to use that. One other feature of the SLXD5 that I love specifically for making quick changes during a ceremony or anything like that is you can map out the arrows on the top what you want them to be. So they can be audio out, headphones, or none. So with audio out, what's great about that is we can kind of go right into that headphone jack, hear what's going on before it hits the camera, and make that change real fast. A lot of the times what I'm doing is I'm running that transmitter directly from a DJ's booth or perhaps a feed from a venue system, and those are all different. You know, Park Chateau in New Brunswick, New Jersey has a totally different level coming out of it than Clark's Landing in Point Pleasant. And change that volume and know what's going into the wireless, not the camera. So after the ceremony, when we get our transmitter back, what I'll do is I'll actually rescan inside that venue. We scan every time we move our wireless, we rescan. Again, we'll try to hook up into the DJ, the house system, or the venue, and we transmit that to our camera directly. Now, once we're all set up for the grand entrances and everything, things move super, super fast. Now, not having an external recorder hooked up to the DJ, this really helps us be nimble and move around because I know when I hit record on my camera, it's getting that feed. So there's two positives of that. The first thing is we know we're getting a clean feed into the camera, but B, if I have another unit out shooting, I don't want external audio like that. I don't want to be messing around in post syncing things. I don't want to be calling Pete or Sam or Dave or whoever the shooter is and saying, hey, which file is it? How many times did you hit stop? How many times did you hit record on the audio? It's all synced. So there's no issues with that. If you're not finicking in post, trying to sync things up, everything's already there and you know your left channel is your crisp audio, I mean, it takes hours out of the work. Now I do dance floor footage the same exact way as I do these speeches and first dances with the direct feed. So I have my transmitter hooked up to the output still of either the DJ, the venue, or the band, wherever the music is coming from, and that transmits directly to my camera that I'm out on the dance floor filming with. So this allows me to give a super clean feed directly to the couple of the dance floor footage, which a lot of videographers don't do or even have the concept of doing. But it also allows me, if I want to, that I can bring up that kind of, you know, that house sound that you're seeing and hearing when you're there, and it really actually makes you feel like you're at that wedding, you know, and you're witnessing it and you're part of it when you're watching it because you can hear the person talking next to you, but you have this ultra super high-end, great sounding feed from the DJ coming in, and you can mix them, and it just makes for a really, really enjoyable experience. Now, I also want to mention the battery life. So the specs say about 6 to 8 hours, depending on what batteries, the situation, and that is enough really to shoot a wedding. Even after the officiant walks all the way to their car with my transmitter and I have to chase him halfway down the Garden State Parkway, I still have a couple hours left on that transmitter. So I really don't need to change batteries per wedding. So the battery life is great, but also having access to something like the SBO 903 battery pack or having multiple external powering options is a huge deal. Now, I also want to mention that on top of the receiver, it will give you transmitter battery life. Indispensable. You do not want to be pulling this out of people's pockets, you know, worried about the battery, going back to the DJ every 5 minutes. A lot of the times I'm sending an assistant or a second shooter to set this stuff up and to monitor things. It's great to have a nice, reliable battery life for both the transmitter and receiver in one spot. So that's my quick take on this unit. Again, I've shot literally hundreds of weddings and I wish this came out years and years ago. First of all, it would have saved me, you know, close to $3,000 on my main unit I was using before. But beyond that, it's just so simple and intuitive. The SLXD Portable is perfect for any wedding videographer or any other event service looking for a quick, good turnaround on their content with quality audio. Again, Steve from McFadden Sales, thanks so much.